Welcome to the Movement Project podcast. We have Jamal Singleton in the house.
Awesome.
Jamal is a registered representative / financial advisor. He's also a real estate agent. So this man is a wealth of knowledge. It's going to be an interesting podcast. We're going to really dive in deep.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Ben. For those of you all that don't know, Ben and I met years ago, and it's amazing how things come full circle. We were able to catch up on a few different things, just having some conversations, and I got the invite, so I'm happy to be here. He's doing some incredible things with the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. So we'll go into when me and Jamal met. It was a really interesting scenario, and just good example of what time can do, right? Time, persistence, and hard work. When I met Jamal, I rolled into the bank fresh out of prison, right? And I came to this man. I'm like, I'm out here, never been to the South in my life, jumped out here without a parachute, just trying to restructure things. But fast forward several years, Jamal's now building his business, got some incredible things, tons of value. We're able to connect, and I thought he'd be a good person to bring on.
Awesome. Yes, it's amazing how fast the time flies, and the leaps and bounds that we've seen with one another.
Yeah.
As Ben mentioned, at the time we met at a financial center. I won't call the name of the institution.
Yeah.
But we met there. I'd been working there for several years. Ben came in, awesome guy, a lot of energy, and we started from scratch in banking with him. And I found out that he was very persistent about moving forward with his talent, and he was an entrepreneur. And the first thing that he actually gave me after I gave him his folder with his banking information was a CD, and it was great music. It was awesome.
Yeah. I tossed this man a Christian hip hop album. I'm like, check it out, bro. Fresh out. We recorded this on the inside. Let me know what you think. I was out here thinking I'm gonna build this Christian hip hop ministry thing. But it's cool, man.
Oh yeah.
Glad you're able to make it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Great to be here. So, I know just, of the past several years, one of the things that I've been focusing on, and a lot of people I think they should focus on, is investing into yourself. And that's one, we can tie that into so many different areas in your life. I'll give you a perfect example. I sat down with a client last week, along with a gentleman who owns a credit restoring business, and the topic popped up in reference to the cost of getting started, and the spouse was a little skeptical about the cost, so we did a breakdown on what it cost them over time with their credit not being in a good state, and how long it took them to damage the credit or get it there, and how much time that they would want to invest to rebuild. So they teetered around it, saying, well, doesn't seem like we can afford to, but my follow-up question is, how can you afford not to?
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is there is opportunity cost associated with everything. So you have to invest into yourself. They bought into that, of course, after hearing it that way, but it doesn't happen overnight. For all of us, like where I'm at in life right now, I initially made an attempt at what I'm doing currently. I would say I was 20 years old at the time. So I'm 42 now. So sometimes it takes some time. You have to carve out your path. And it may take a while, but you just have to find out what works best for you along that path.
That's a good word.
There's so many different ways, and I was in a comfort zone, and I had tried a lot of things. I failed at a lot of things, but I tried to learn from it as soon as possible. And it's no different from taking a class. Whether it's college, high school, whatever it may be, you may fail the class per se, but you don't realize how much content you've retained. So sometimes you got to do it over. In a nutshell, you may pour the foundation, it may not be level, so you have to tear it back out and report. So you put in some equity, some time into it, and what I always encourage people to do is you may have to build some things.
Yeah.
You may have not been given the backhoe, the pickaxe, the shovel, whatever it may be. You may have to get in there with your hands. You may have to get on your knees and dig with your hands. Doesn't mean that you can't yield the same product. It's gonna take more time, but who's gonna value it more? The person who went in there, who had the backhoe, the pickaxe to get their way through, or the person who had to dig it with their bare hands. And what's unique about those situations is sometimes people have all of the tools to be successful, but they don't even use them.
Yeah.
So, when we tie to that person that came in with their bare hands, that's a will. They were willing to dig with their bare hands. The person that had the backhoe and the pickaxe and the other things, they had the skill to operate it, but they just didn't want to apply the skills to use it.
Right.
So the question becomes, would you rather have a person around you who has the willingness to get things done, or someone who has the skill that won't even apply it? So
is it a skill or is it just the tools, right? Because some people got these tools, they got a garage full of tools, but like you said, they don't have the follow through.
Right. They still look brand new.
They might not even know how to use them, right? They got the brand new DeWalt set sitting in the garage, and they can't even get it,
Right.
They don't know what it's like to put it to use on the job site.
Absolutely.
So a lot of good stuff that you touched on there, man. And I think that when you look at it, our vision doesn't always come out fully formed, right? Like you said, you started in your 20s, and you caught a glimpse, of what you thought you might want to step into, right? At the time, you might have not had the tools, may have not had the network, or the follow through, right? Could have been any of those. But where we're going with that is getting comfortable being uncomfortable, I believe, is one of the most important things that you can do as an entrepreneur or pursuing success, right? Because great things never come from comfort zones. So you need to constantly stretch yourself, right? Stretch yourself, meaning what new information do I need to pick up, right? How can I apply this information to the area that I'm focused in order to build towards my future? But most of us living in this TV microwave generation, we want immediate results, right? We don't want to put that groundwork in. We don't even know most of us don't even know what it's like to lay a foundation, right? Like staying on the building side of things, like what does that look like, right? We don't want to do it. And I think that's something that we got to break through in this generation, especially as we're raising up the youth,
right.
We're living off computers. Kids are growing up since birth, basically with an iPad in their hands. So they're technologically savvy, but we don't have the work ethic that we did back in our parents' generation, So putting in the work, that's good.
Absolutely. And it's amazing that you touched on the youth, Ben. I'm actually working with a group of, a few different organizations that focus on children. I'm going to give the name of one of them. It's Youth Core, and Youth Core promotes entrepreneurship. One of my mentors said I didn't post enough, so I got tagged on one of them, and I decided to post a pic of myself and a former colleague that worked with these kids, focusing on financial literacy.
That's awesome.
So it was great to see the youth engaged in that piece, and some would say that they're not focused, or they're not interested. But if you get in front of them, you can pique their interest, and they're going to pick up on it. You just have to get it to their level. You have to tie it into what they understand. In this case, the gentleman that I was on a team with, he focused on things that they understood, or what some of the things that they would have seen on television in reference to, from a stock standpoint. Everybody, when they think of advisors, they think of the pit. They see people yelling out numbers and doing all of that stuff.
Wolf of Wall Street
right,
kind of stuff. Yeah.
right. So and they were interested in it. They enjoyed it, but they were able to get the lessons learned out of it just based off of taking that approach, because it was more engaging for them. When it came down to balancing their income and understanding what the costs were, and I'm quite sure a lot of the youth in that course, they're probably not gonna take the same approach to asking their parents for certain things once they see the breakdown of how finances work. But also with another group that I work with, some people consider them at risk. I just believe that they need some guidance. It's just some young men and some women that are in a youth challenge in Eastover, and they don't have access to social media right now. So over the last several weeks, I've received letters from them.
Wow. And
the lost art of penmanship, learning how to articulate yourself on paper. Is you don't see it anymore. So I like what they're doing there with the kids, because it's not that they don't want to do it. We're just not giving them the guidance to do it per se. And sometimes you have to remove things in order to find the value in utilizing pen, pad, paper, whatever it may be. Like Ben and I were talking about a little earlier, I'm quite sure when he was writing those rhymes, it wasn't on a tablet. No. It was a shout out to Tribe Called Quest and the late great Fife Dog, my pad and my pen, Right.
Yeah.
That's how they used to do it.
Straight up. Bring it back to the basics. Right. Bring it back. And I don't even think we're beginning to see how toxic these devices really are. Like the cell phones. I know this is at my hip 24 hours a day.
Constantly.
Right? And I hate to say it, but like my life and my business revolve around my phone.
Right.
So there's beneficial uses for it, but at the same time, all the distractions that social media provides, I don't even think that we're realizing the psychological effects that it's having on us and where that's leading in the future. Like, we're talking small little dopamine hits, right? Almost the same thing as when you're doing drugs. Like, you did a line of cocaine. You're getting dopamine hits every time you pick up that phone, looking at who liked your latest photo or post, on social media. So, I mean, that's, the research goes deep, but I think it's a very, very toxic thing. But the way that we've built society, you almost cannot operate without it.
Absolutely, and that's a excellent point that you just brought up. For years, Ben, the only way you could get in contact with me, you either had to know my personal phone number for my cell or my business cell. I had no social media. And if you didn't have either one of those, you had to know somebody that knew me in order to get in contact with me. And I got called out by an older gentleman in a class that I took. And he said, you could maximize on your fundraising capabilities if you just would post some of the things to social media. So December of 2019, I actually set up a social media page.
Wow.
And I would say that the scales were lifted from my eyes.
Yeah.
But it was good in reference to being able to relate to some people I hadn't touched base with in years. But there's a lot of opportunity with it because I was exposed to a lot of things that I didn't know what was going on. So I give you a perfect example, right? Even with me right now. Okay. When I used to get my day started, I read the Daily Bread or some Bible verse with a form of prayer. So in reference to, I'll tell you where I'm at right now, and I'll be as honest as I can be. Before I do that now, I check my Facebook.
Yeah.
Really and truly, it's because it draws you in. So I understand how it can be such a distraction to the children, whomever, any adult.
Right.
You probably wouldn't turn around to go back home to pick up your lunch or some other keys that you need for something else. But you will, if you live 30 minutes away from the job or your employer, wherever you may be, you're going to turn around and go get that phone.
100%.
Even if there's a phone on site that you can use for whatever it may be, you're going to do so. You have a laptop, you have a tablet, iPad, whatever. You can use that for all those other means of communications. But you know what? You're going to turn around and pick up that phone.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And these big corporations, these media companies, understand the value of that attention, right? That's why they invest billions of dollars in research, right? And understanding what makes people think, what retains the people to stay on our platform on their device for longer periods of time, right? And they're basically fabricating the social media that we use. So we go down these wormholes and literally, you know, one post leads to a next, and then tracking behavior, and then we get into algorithms. That's a conversation for a whole nother day, right?
Yeah.
But it's just really crazy to see this machine that technology is building, right? But to bring us kind of back to the focus, let's talk about the importance of financial education. You mentioned how important it is for people, whether it be the youth or individuals looking to better themselves, to invest in themselves, right? They say self-education is the best investment you can make, right? Pay the best interest.
Absolutely. And it's when it comes down to it, whatever piques your interest, study it as much as possible. Like for myself, I'm interested in real estate. I'm interested in financial, being a financial advisor. So I invested in myself. There was some costs associated with it. And when I say cost, it was around, I had the transition out of a comfort zone. I had to leave a job and start from scratch and really dig it out and dig deeper. I had to depend on myself to cross those hurdles. Granted, I kicked a lot of them down. Some of them I got over, but I'm still in the race. Yeah. So in that aspect, I would always say if it's something that you're good at, I use you as an example, Ben. You're great at real estate. You're great at finding these properties. You invested in yourself. Look at where you are now. I mean, you're a success in it. And it's not just based off of you saying it. We can see it. It's reflected on social media. Wherever you go, people understand that you're doing well at it. And it can be anything, you know. Like I was speaking with a client of mine. We were talking about some protection for his family, and once we finished up that conversation, he just went into, man, what can I put money in? What can I do this? How can I do that? And I said, well, right now, you've left the law enforcement job, right? You're a trucker now. Invest in trucking. That's what you're doing. You know, focus on getting another truck up and running. That way, if for some reason you're unable to drive your truck, you know that there's another vehicle out there. You have someone else that can continue doing the routes. But also, you're in the physical fitness. COVID-19, people are at home eating, gaining weight. They can't go to the gym, whatever it may be. You've maintained a level of physical fitness that a lot of people weren't able to do, including myself. I put on some weight, during that time period, but you don't have to be face to face with these people. Right. You can post a video. You can do an OnlyFans for whatever, because
workout challenge.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. So invest in those things before you try anything else, because it's something that you understand. It's a controllable. In life, we're constantly trying to control the controllables for what it's worth. Sometimes we have a difficult time figuring out what we can control, because and that's just purely based. Sometimes we can't figure it out based off of distractions. Like even right now, Ben has his phone face down. I have mine up. And I probably need to flip mine over, because every couple seconds I'm taking a peek at it, And if it's not that, the thing about it is, if that doesn't buzz, my watch is gonna buzz. Yeah. Because it's all tied together. But yes, I always say invest in yourself and make sure you protect yourself before you start taking risk. Like for example, I just tie it back into real estate. Okay, so before you invest into real estate, you want to get with someone who truly understands the market. What we're seeing right now, we've never seen before. There's a home, the supply cannot meet the demand in no way, shape, or form.
Yeah, can't get anywhere close, right?
Right. And we've never seen, even if they're all right. So we have existing homes. And if existing homes weren't there, there was enough new construction happening. Well, due to COVID-19, the suppliers slowed down. So we see
What's the demand? Because you got people that are moving from up north by the boatload, like running away from places like New York and Jersey where they're locked down. They got these crazy COVID restrictions. South Carolina's got like a big red dot on the map. They're like, that's where we're going.
So you run into people and they want to sell their homes. They want to take advantage of these, the type of money that you can make off of selling. But you can't sell your home until you find another place to stay. So you have to go under contract on that because the homes are selling so fast. And what we're seeing is typically anything under $250,000 is under contract within 24 to 48 hours.
Above asking price, multiple offers.
Right.
It's nuts.
Absolutely. And we've just never seen anything like that. You speak with the builder, you have that conversation before. You could go out there, pick the lot, do whatever before it hit foundation. Now, they won't let you go into contract until the home is in framing. So you'll have willing and ready buyers, pre-approved, everything, and everybody's jockeying for these homes. The on-site, the new home specialists can't even keep up because so many people, they can't even get the homes uploaded to the MLS before someone's coming in.
Did you see Lexington County put a stop on new builds?
Yes, I saw that.
Because the infrastructure cannot sustain it, right? Like the traffic patterns and everything else.
Yes.
They're like, there's no way if we keep on building that we're going to be able to control traffic. Like, this is our bottleneck until we figure this out. No more building.
Absolutely.
They pushed it back for a year, man. Like, that's crazy stuff.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about where that's going. Like, obviously, it looks like a big bubble that's just getting inflated. You know, COVID-19 being locked down for 6 months, maybe more, right? And then the government just offering handouts and then plus kicking the can down the road with the mortgage forbearances, right? That's something we've never seen either.
Right.
Eventually, those mortgages, that debt is going to come due, right? So we have this mountain of foreclosures that are just kind of sitting there on standby that no one knows exactly when it's coming or what's going to happen. So I've kind of been questioning myself, like, where is this going? You know, is this bubble eventually going to burst, or is the demand continuing to be that solid where after financial system starts to crumble, you know, what do you foresee?
Well, my thoughts are this, and it ties right into investing. You have there's a whole group of people that I've conversed with that are waiting for these waves of foreclosures to happen. I know people who literally, we've had discussions. I'm like, okay, let's talk about this on your portfolio. Let's do this. I work with a team of financial analysts and planners. Let's have it, and they're like, no. And so you say, why? Well, yes, I'm waiting on this wave of foreclosures to happen so I can scoop up some real estate. And they're, you know, sometimes people they'll shy away. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. No, they're waiting on that to happen. And some people say it's all based off of when the CARES Act expires. Now, we don't know per se when it's going to happen, but we know it's coming. And we expect that bubble to burst. However, if rates stay low, you're just going to have more people buying homes that weren't able to do so before.
At inflated prices too.
Right. And with that happening, it's with everything. It's it has its the strength with it is that there's going to be some people who never were at a point where they couldn't be able to purchase a home are now going to be able to buy a home. You have some people that may have to that are going to lose homes. That's reality. But there's an opportunity to rebuild because in all aspects of everything, that bubble bursting is going to create some millionaires.
Yeah.
But there's a cost associated with it. Sometimes you have to lose something to gain something. Some people have to lose everything in order to bounce back and be more efficient, which is going to create some more entrepreneurs because they may have been a level of comfort during COVID-19 that they were able to take advantage of. And when their backs are up against the wall, it's like, okay, I truly need to invest in myself. I got this severance package if there was one. I can start this mobile mechanic business, whatever it may be, or I can go on and take my real estate exams, become an agent, broker, whatever it may be. I can take this money and start up whatever it may be. It's going to breed some opportunities. It's just a matter of if or when you're going to be able to seize the moment.
Yes, that's big. That's big. So as an entrepreneur, your goal is to identify problems, right? Or identify gaps in the market and come in with a service-based approach. So in real estate, like you're saying, these people are sitting with the cash and they're just waiting for those dominoes to fall so they can come in, save people from foreclosure, right? Buy cheap real estate and then continue to build the portfolio.
Yeah.
But I think a question that all of us should be asking, our listeners included, is how can I start to think in the future, right? Like forward projecting on what's currently happening, right? And how can I position myself to best handle what's coming, right? This foreclosure tsunami, if you will, right? How can I position myself so that I can benefit from it? Or how can I help more people through this process? And as a result, it helps you to forward your venture as well.
Sure. Some people I've spoke with, they're forming groups, investment groups that are flat out just, this is going to be their process. They're going to reach out to people who are having or who may be at or near foreclosure, buy the property from them, give them a place to stay.
So lease back.
Right. That way it doesn't hit their credit the way they would anticipate it. Of course, short sales have always been out there. Of course, the credit repair companies are going to seize the opportunity because most people don't want to be penalized during that whole process of saying, well, I have to wait 7 years, 7 years to purchase a new home, whatever it may be. And you have others that are small groups of, maybe 5-10 grand, whatever they're investing, that are buying multifamily properties because they know these people are going to need a place to stay.
So when you say low amounts to invest, you're referencing to like syndication, right? Like multifamily hedge fund, like raising capital, multifamily syndication type deals?
Well, yes, you have like a small group of people who will say, well, let's form a limited liability partnership. We'll pool some funds together and we'll purchase these multifamily dwellings. Yep. And they know now, of course, during the CARES Act, the only thing that you're guaranteed on a residential dwelling is your first month's rent and your security deposit, because people can say the following month they're not able to pay rent and you can't evict them.
That's crazy.
Right. But when the CARES Act goes away, these people are going to need a place to stay and they're going to be willing to pay rent to do so. So those who have the capital to wait are going to wait.
Yeah, that's good. And I think as an investor, right, you currently want to stay up to date on the latest news, on the latest policies that are coming out, right? So talking about like the new administration that's in office, a big focus for many people is going to be these subsidized type of opportunities, right? Where you have like a big focus, big word going around is affordable housing, right? Affordable housing. And the best way to position it is building these big multifamily units, right? Where you can house more people, keep it cost effective. Government's going to offer subsidies and opportunities where they're handing out money to help you build these things from the ground up. So I think as a smart investor, you need to, regardless of who's in office, paying attention to what those policies are like and positioning yourself to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. You're spot on with that. So align yourself with the people who understand it. You may, granted that we're saturated with so much information, but I would say to anyone who's listening and who will be watching this, align yourself with people who know something that you can learn from.
Yeah.
That way you can seize the opportunity and humble yourself to be able to receive it, because sometimes it's not going to be that 70-year-old in the rocking chair that's done it all. It may be that fresh 22-year-old fresh out of college, or that 18-year-old that's right out of high school that's been on top of everything from the jump. They get it, and you may end up learning from them.
Yeah.
So you just have to be humble. You can't say this person can't tell you anything, because they can probably teach you everything.
Technology's bridged that gap.
Right.
There used to be a huge gap in education and knowledge, but we all now have everything at our fingertips. Talking about utilizing your time and the tools that you have. Figure out where you want to go, right? What you're passionate about, like you spoke about, and then invest in that, right? Spend all your waking hours outside of your main job or whatever in figuring out how you can become an expert in that field, whatever it is.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what it is. Align yourself, get yourself in a situation whereas you can create any type of passive income, and everybody's not going to be able to do it, because some people, they're perfectly okay with how they approach life now, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's in you to do so, in my opinion, you should be. If you make $50,000 a year, you should be, and you have that entrepreneurial spirit in you, you should be focused on trying to make 50 or 100,000 in passive income. Yeah. Because you should, if something were to happen to you and you lost that 50,000 in income, where does the protection come in?
Right. Or invest in a side hustle, right?
Whatever it may be. Mobile mechanic, mobile car wash, it can be anything. Cakes, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, whatever you're good at, if you're focused on it and you understand it, then put your resources towards it. Or if you know somebody that's good at it and you want to get into it, and it's somebody that you trust, then jump on the bandwagon. I mean, some of us aren't great starters. Some of us aren't great finishers. Some of us are great in the middle. So if you can get it in the middle, then get in. Yeah. If you can birth it. But if you know you can't carry the torch to beyond the mid-range hump and to the end, then you need to align yourself with people that can do so.
Build your circle.
Because keep in mind, everything has a shelf life. So you always want to have an exit strategy. There's a time horizon on everything. So you want to look at business succession planning. If you're in something and you're the only person that understands it, can your wife or your can your spouse, do your children, can your friends, whomever you're aligned with, can they take on that business if you stop, if for some reason you're not able to run that business properly. So, and again, I know I've said it several times. Ben has said it several times. Invest in yourself.
Yeah, 100%. So before we wrap this up, I want to touch a little bit on the financial system, right? And how basically just the value of a dollar, how we were at one point on the gold standard. Let's we're going to go down a rabbit hole with this. We were talking about it briefly before we started the interview.
Absolutely. So, of course, as Ben stated, things have changed significantly. I remember as a child, the gold standard was it. My mother and my uncle worked at the Mint in Philadelphia, and anytime we saw pictures or anything, as a matter of fact, I'm a 007 fan, and one of my favorite films is Goldfinger, when he tried to hijack Fort Knox. That was the gold standard. Yeah. There may not even be anything in there now, but every dollar had to be backed by gold. Now, in reference to currency, there's so much in circulation. What truly backs
a dollar?
A dollar.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. Whereas, from a financial standpoint, we can't really say. We're out there. All we're focused on, or at least my approach, with clients is like, look, let's make sure you have. We're gonna make a U, or a trough, whatever it may be. We're gonna make sure you have all the defensive strategies in place. So we're gonna make sure you have adequate life insurance, whether it's term, whole life. We're gonna make sure you have adequate disability insurance. So if something were to happen to you on the job, say your job only pays 50% of it, I think the max now that you can have is 85% of it, 85%. So you get that supplemental because the government's not going to allow you to get more than that because they don't want you to be incentivized not to work.
Right.
Granted that I'm going off going off on a tangent because with the CARES Act, some people are making more money sitting home than they're actually, so you can't get workers to go into the job.
People to work right now.
So we try to fulfill that before we start looking at the investment side, offensive strategies. So, but even when we get onto that side, is your dollar truly worth a dollar? When you start looking at when you log on to the Dow, when you log on to Bloomberg, how things move so much. One of the things Ben and I touched on a little early, and I get a ton of questions about it, is cryptocurrency. And I remember when the only one we talked about was Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And most of us couldn't afford to buy Bitcoin because
we could have, but we just didn't. We didn't think it had the value enough when it was cheap.
Right. Hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah.
So that's way up there. And now we're getting to a point where Bitcoin's being used to purchase certain items.
You can withdraw it at ATMs. At some ATMs. That's crazy.
And at some point, I'm quite sure we're going to be able to use it for financial services.
Yeah,
it's coming. I was on a real estate platform this morning looking at some things. So everything that I look at on Facebook is not about entertainment. I was actually looking at some of the real estate. Some other agents were talking about some things, and they were looking for financial institutions that will allow people to make down payments with cryptocurrency, and you know it's coming.
Yeah,
at some point. So the thing is like, have I missed the wave? And granted, you can jump onto it now.
I think we're still in the early adoption stage.
But from a fiduciary standpoint, and the industry is heavily regulated, I can't tell you what to buy or what to buy, what not to buy. But what I would say is sit down with someone who understands it if you have questions about it.
Yeah.
And don't invest any more than what you can afford to lose.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So that's why I tie it back to that 18-year-old or that 22-year-old that's probably been researching this since they were 10.
Right.
They know everything about it. So if they understand everything about it, I'm pretty certain they can teach you about it. So I'm not saying that that's all the children, but
I've been trying to turn my dad on to some. My dad bought some Bitcoin and some Ethereum like a few years back. He's like, "Thank you." He's like, "Thank you." I'm like, "Ride the wave, man."
Absolutely. So, it in a nutshell, it ties back into investing into yourself. So invest into that kid that understands it. Give them a couple of dollars to explain it to you if they have a business.
Yeah.
They say, well, yeah, I can explain the whole concept of it to you. I can monitor it daily, take a look at it, track it for you. And if it costs you, several dollars for them to do it for you to get an understanding, then it's worth investing into 100%. It because they understand it. So that investment in them is actually an investment in yourself.
Yep. It's a full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with that, we're going to go down a small rabbit hole because I believe that there's a lot of moving parts with it, but talking about the gold standard, right? Money is, in my opinion, money is an illusion, right? We're no longer on a gold standard. So the amount of money in circulation, obviously we have charts and graphs, which we all know that, we just print money. 40% of all money in circulation today was printed last year. If that don't scare you a little bit,
those crisp bills,
looking into hyperinflation, like I don't know what will, right? But this is all speculation, right? I believe that ultimately, I think the global financial system is going to be replaced by some type of cryptocurrency or blockchain. I know that's a bold move to claim that, but I believe it's coming, right? Some of that might even get biblical, right? Talking about like a one world currency, and there's some crazy stuff when you look into it. But I think money is a faith-based system. It's an illusion. people that don't understand blockchain, like these digital intricate webs that are built together, built on code and numbers, and how it connects, but how it can also solve real world problems. Like XRP, for example, can send large amounts of money, like millions of dollars in a second across the world, where it would take a traditional banking institution 5 days, a week, you know?
Yeah. I know. I just sent the wire recently, and it's there was a cutoff time.
Yeah.
So it took 24 hours for it to be delivered.
Some type of reset is coming.
And it's all been written. So I'm not gonna give a hypothesis or / educated guess on what I see. But I mean, we've read information from different theorists when it comes to what's happening now. It's just a matter of, do we have the aptitude to see how it applies to what's happening right now, and are we going to be ahead of the game? I know that like you said, you mentioned, Ben, you know it's coming. They've been hinting at this. They've been giving, whether it's print journalism in a book or featured in a blockbuster film, they've been showing us all these things here and there from time to time.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of whether or not, are we going to say, is this our reality? Like some people are saying right now, I can't wait till things get back to normal.
Back to normal.
This is our new normal.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to see.
Welcome to the Matrix.
Right.
Talking about Blockbuster. For real, man. You guys go back and watch the Matrix again and just take a deep dive on that.
Absolutely. You know, I wish I jumped in on I jumped in on Zoom, Google Meets, you name it, you know. And I had the funds, and I had people around me who had the funds to invest in it, but who really thought that it was going to take off this way? Because I was at a point where we still were scheduling board meetings.
Yeah.
Zoom was only for the person that couldn't make it. Now look at what's happening. Do you really think that we're going to actually go back to the theaters now that we can stream all these movies?
Right.
We're going to take advantage of it from the comfort of our homes. And even if they were to stop it, there's going to be so much pushback. And some of us are not even going to go to the theaters anyway, because of the risk associated with things now, or based off of how we feel. It's all real. COVID's still out there. And I know I'm going off on a tangent, but Ben, I still go to the ATM to get some cash so I can have a sense of feeling the money. So I always try to keep a couple dollars in my pocket.
For sure. Yeah.
Because you don't need it. You can tap your phone, which is holding us captive. Tap your debit card, whatever it may be. You name it. They're delivering food to our homes. You know, the only thing that we used to get delivered before, really and truly, is pizza.
Yeah. Or
now
Christmas
you can
packages.
Right. Now you have a package on your doorstep every day. Yeah. It's so convenient.
Yeah. It's the Uber model. Right.
Which ties into what you're saying. Do we really need the cash?
Yeah.
Or when you approach it, like I go to the drive-thru sometimes at different restaurants, you see the person, if the register's not functioning because they don't key it in, they just tap the pictures or whatever. Can they really do the math if the register's not functioning properly?
Right.
Because you don't have to count.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's innovation at its finest, you know. And I think that talking about like market shifts, it's all cyclical, right? Everything everything we're going through now is being repeated, but I think we're on a new wave, right? It's got its unique waves with it. But look at the last recession. That's where Uber, Netflix, and all these virtual models literally blew up, right? That's where they were created and invented. And now that's what we know and adopt as reality today, you know? Every time the market shifts, more people, you see a separation in wealth, right? Like never before.
Yes.
Like a lot of people lose money, but it's just a big shift, right? Big reset. Right. So the people that are looking forward to it and projecting are preparing themselves so that they can, pull out opportunity out of that. But man, everything is going digital.
Right.
You know?
So in a nutshell, don't be scared. Just get prepared because it's coming.
That's good. That's good. It absolutely is. So we touched on a lot of different topics today, man, but I'm glad we took those directions because I think it's a lot of valid points and a lot that people need to start asking themselves.
Right.
You know, I think we get comfortable in our own little box, but it's important to have that inner circle, right? Have people that you surround yourself with, your financial advisors, your attorneys, right? Your real estate investors, your data analysts, if you will, right?
Absolutely.
People that can help to really build this web around you that's going to safeguard not only the future for yourself and your family, but also your mindset, so you can stay ahead of the curve before this wave comes, because it's coming.
Absolutely. So as we stated in several times, invest in yourself. Make sure that you that your credit's where it needs to be. Make sure you have protection strategies in place for your family. Try to create some type of supplemental income to assist with whatever bills, debt you have out there, well, really what it comes down to in a nutshell, still be able to enjoy life as much as you can, because as we all know, well, I mean, like I said, there's a time horizon on everything. We're not going to be here forever. So if you're investing in yourself, something that you like to do, something you're creative with, whatever it may be, focus on that. Because you're going to be happy doing it. Enjoy your family, enjoy your lifestyle. Create those things that are speaking into existence. Yeah. Those things are where you want to be.
I believe stuff like that for sure. And if you're searching for what that is, good chance that the answer is closer than you think, right? In many cases, you got the answer right there in front of you. You know, like I tried getting back into school when I was fresh released because I'm like, well, this is what society says I should do, right? But come a full circle and I realized that I had everything I needed right there in front of me. Sometimes you just got to take the first step. Absolutely.
And you know that route's not for everybody. You know, the common theme I remember my father asked once I graduated from college, what did I learn? And I said I learned that I need to own and operate my own business.
Yeah.
And so we had a discussion about it, and I said it was in a business history class. We talked about the creation of higher learning institutions, colleges, universities, whatever it may be, and the people that created them, most of them didn't have the education, but they know that they had ownership.
Yeah.
And they know that they needed a skilled workforce. So they need to create a worker.
You're building great technicians.
Right. So you have the DuPonts, the ThyssenKrupps, you have all of these people, the Rockefellers.
Yes.
And when we're saying that, we're talking about old money, real money, you know. Yeah. This generation wealth, they understood that they needed to create skilled workers. And we created a society of skilled workers. Now, entrepreneurs were birthed out of it, and most of the billionaires that we see at the top now, a great deal of them, they either dropped out of high school or college once they found out their niche.
Yep.
And took it and ran with it. And those businesses were birthed in small places, like if I'm not mistaken, Apple was birthed in a garage.
Yep. So was Amazon.
Right.
Yep.
You fulfilled the need that the people desired, and look at where it's at right now. I always when I think of Apple, I always think of that clip from Forrest Gump where where he was saying he mentioned investing money into into some Apple company or something, like some fruit company.
Yeah.
And when they showed us the letter, of course it was fictional, it was Apple. You know, it was Macintosh. Granted that it would be great if that happened to any one of us. We're looking for the next IPO, whatever it may be, but the reality is that the IPO that we're looking for, sometimes we don't realize it's in ourselves. You are the IPO.
Isn't it interesting how Apple's logo is an apple with a bite out of it, right? And then you think about like Adam and Eve and the tree of life, and it literally just opened up knowledge, right?
Absolutely.
Knowledge of all things. What is this doing, right? It's opened up the gateway to information where you can access anything at your fingertips.
Absolutely.
It's frightening.
Absolutely.
It's frightening.
Absolutely. I remember when you went to the internet, professors wouldn't accept any citations from there, so you still had to go to the library, pull encyclopedias, whatever it may be. Now, the children can, or whomever's in whatever type of education system, all of their references in their bibliography can be internet sources.
Yep. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Times are changing.
Absolutely. Get your piece of the pie.
Get your piece. Yeah. Take action while you can.
Doesn't matter if it's apple, sweet potato, pumpkin, you name it. Whatever you like, get your piece of the pie.
Yeah.
It's there for you.
Do your research.
You are the IPO.
Get the recipe, right? Yeah.
Right.
Love
right.
it. Well, that's solid, man. Where's the best place for our listeners to find you and connect?
Sure thing. I do real estate. My company is that I'm with, where I hang my license, is David Lloyd Realty. My email address is jstevensellshomes@gmail.com, and that's JSTEVENSELLS@gmail.com. And for advisory, you can reach me at JSSINGLEFT@newyorklife.com. And let me state that again because I think I missed something on it. So that's JSSINGLEFT at newyorklife.com. Or you can just Google New York Life. That's where that's the company that backs me with the securities registrations. That's where my license is held.
Love it. Awesome, man. Appreciate you coming on, bro.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed the time. And again, invest in yourself. Get your piece of the pie. I hope to see you all soon. If you have any questions, reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook at J. Stevens Singleton, or on LinkedIn, which I'm not using enough. You can just type in Jamal Singleton. I'd be happy to converse with you at any time. Thanks.
Boom. Y'all get out there, stay consistent.